my beloved child. There are moments in life when you assume everything happening around you is random, like wandering streams flowing aimlessly across a vast meadow. Yet in truth, they are orchestrated by the one who stands behind the curtains of the unseen realm. Many times you look at your present circumstances and see no indication that heaven's hand is at work, and because of that, your heart trembles, feeling as though you have been abandoned in the midst of shifting tides too mysterious to comprehend. But I want you to know this: my silence is not my withdrawal. My quietness is the very method by which I prepare things your soul could not yet bear if they were revealed too soon. Just as a potter needs hidden space and time to shape his vessel, I too require room to complete the work your eyes are not yet trained to perceive. There are times when you stand at a crossroads, hesitating because you do not know which direction to take, and you plead for me to speak. You wait for a clear sign, a thunderous voice from heaven, or at least enough reassurance to ease the turmoil tugging inside you. But I, in my wisdom that far exceeds your understanding, often answer you with silence. You assume that quietness means distance, when in truth it is the way I preserve the delicate movements taking place beneath the surface, movements calculated with precision only I can sustain. Just as when I led Israel through the sea with walls of water on either side, I first sent a wind to blow all night to prepare the path. The wind was unseen, yet the power was present. In the same way, during nights when all you hear is the sound of your own breath, I am still breathing into your life the necessary shifts, so that when dawn comes, you will know that the open door before you was never the work of your fragile hands, but the handiwork of my sovereign will. My intervention does not always arrive clothed in loud, dazzling miracles. Often, it comes wrapped in the simplest forms, a fleeting thought that causes you to change your mind at the last moment, a chance encounter that redirects your path, an inexplicable sense that leads you away from a seemingly reasonable choice. You tend to dismiss these moments as trivial, but I see them as stones carefully laid along the path of your journey. Not every storm announces itself with thunder. Sometimes a single breeze is enough to alter the course of a ship. Notice, my child, there have been times when you nearly stepped into something that looked promising yet would have led nowhere. And in those very moments, I gently drew you away through methods invisible to you. If I allowed you to obtain everything you desired at the moment you desired it, your heart would become burdened with things that bear no fruit for your soul. That is why I intervene when necessary, sometimes like a strong wind, sometimes like a soft breath. Do not mistake my silence for absence. A seed buried in the ground is unseen, yet every cell is breaking open in preparation for new life. That breaking is necessary for growth to occur. I do the same within you. I dismantle structures that have become outdated, even if you are unaware of them, so that when the appointed time arrives, new strength, new clarity, and new sensitivity will rise from the very place you thought was empty. Every moment you feel an unexplained restlessness. Every time you feel out of place in things that once felt familiar. These are not signs of disorder, but signals that I am rearranging the spiritual landscape within you. My intervention in your life will not always resemble the dramatic scenes you heard about in stories from childhood. I do not always appear with fire from heaven as I did on Mount Carmel, nor do I always manifest through pillars of cloud and fire in the wilderness. Sometimes I come like the gentle whisper Elijah heard, not loud, not fierce, but clear enough to reveal my will. Often you expect a radiant appearance, and because of that expectation, your eyes fail to recognize my nearness. Though I am standing beside you, I am closest when you think I am silent. I work most intensely when you believe nothing is happening. The reason my intervention must remain quiet is that I am adjusting the trajectory of your life into paths your mind has not yet learned to navigate. If I showed you everything from the beginning, the weight of such knowledge would cause you to stumble. Do you see it now, when I brought Abraham out of his homeland? I did not give him a map, I only gave him a promise, because every journey that originates in me must be built on trust, not on sight. You, too, are walking such a journey. There are things I am removing from your life, people I am redirecting to other paths, opportunities I am closing not to deprive you, but to lighten your soul so you may travel freely in the direction I have ordained. Many times you have grown impatient and asked me why the path seems so confusing, why the plans you labored over suddenly collapse after a small disruption. You weep. You worry. You assume you have failed or chosen wrongly. But I want you to know that not every plan I dismantle is a failure. Some are protection. If you could see from my vantage point, you would realize how many harmful roads I have kept you from choosing, because I knew their end held no life. Like a guardian at the gates, I stand at the intersections of your journey, allowing nothing to enter that could destroy the peace within you. I do not merely guide, I guard. My silence is also meant to refine your heart. When there is no clear answer, you must learn to listen more deeply, walk more slowly, and trust more fully. Faith is not born in radiant light, but in the dim places where the soul must choose between fear and surrender. Each time you choose to trust me, even when you cannot see the path, you rise to a higher place. Each time you yield what you cannot understand, you grow stronger. Faith is not a feeling, it is a decision of the Spirit. And that decision is formed only when I temporarily hide the things you long to know. Think of the dark nights when the Israelites traveled through the wilderness. They had only a pillar of fire to guide them, yet they did not know where it would stop. They had no idea what awaited them the next morning, but they had no choice except to keep moving. You are the same each day. I give you light only enough for a single step. Not so, you must fend for yourself. But so you may know that this journey is not built on your ability to predict tomorrow, but on my guidance. Every silent intervention from me builds in you the assurance that I am the one who holds your entire story in my hand. I want you to know that this silence does not last forever. A day will come when I will reveal what I have been doing in the shadows. A moment will arrive when you look back and see the connections you never could have seen before. A time will come when each turn that once seemed random becomes a piece of a vast mosaic, crafted by my love and perfect providence. And on that day, you yourself will say, had those things not happened, I could never have arrived here. You will realize that I was never late, I was precise. My child, there are moments when you think life is nothing more than the sum of your own choices, your decisions, your speed, your destination. But in truth, beneath every rise and fall flows a quiet current moved by my hand, a steady stream ensuring that everything unfolds at the exact moment it must, not earlier and not later. My wisdom is not bound by what your eyes can see. And so there are times when I must work in silence to adjust details you are not yet strong enough to face. You see the surface, but I see the core. When a great shift is approaching, I often prepare your heart with stirrings you cannot name. It may be a sudden weariness toward something you once loved, or a strange uneasiness that makes a familiar place feel foreign. You may not understand, but I do. You only see the symptoms. I see the inner realignment of a soul preparing to detach from what no longer aligns with the future I have appointed. Just as a bird senses the change of seasons before the first rain falls, Your spirit senses the movements of heaven before events unfold. Do not mistake these stirrings for disorder or confusion. They are signs of my subtle intervention. I remember Joseph, how dreams fell into his heart without explanation. He only knew that something beyond understanding was pulling him forward. Yet the path he walked was filled with contradictions, hatred, betrayal, abandonment, but in each circumstance that seemed to push him further from my promise. I was quietly placing every detail in its exact position, from the merchant who purchased him to the moment a prisoner was released, to Pharaoh's troubling dream. Not a single piece was random. Joseph could not see this while standing in the midst of the storm. But when he looked back, he realized my hand had never left him. So it is with you, my child. You are in a process whose ending you cannot yet see. But silence is not abandonment, it is construction. My intervention sometimes comes through limitations. I close a door, and you grieve as though you've lost the most important thing. But I see the cost you cannot see. I know what would happen if I allowed you to walk that path. Limits are not meant to disappoint you, but to preserve you. As a father stops a child from running into the street, I stop you from taking roads your heart perceives as safe, but which I know lead nowhere. You call it loss, I call it redemption. The things I remove from your life are not always harmful things. Some were good for a season, supports, blessings, comforts. But the nature of all earthly good is this: it remains good only while it still aligns with your journey. When the season changes, what was once a blessing can become a weight. I will not let you be pulled backward by outdated gifts. I will not allow you to stand still while your destiny waits ahead. I know you easily cling to what is familiar. You see stability as reward. But I want you to understand, stability is not always a sign of blessing. Sometimes comfort is a sign of delay, a sign that you are holding on to something whose purpose has already ended simply because it feels safe. If I allowed you to remain comfortable, you would never grow into the person I desire you to become. That is why I must awaken you through disruption. I must shake what you think is unshakable, so that you are compelled to look toward the future, where I am opening a new path. This shaking is an act of love, not judgment. At times I place a new desire in your heart, while simultaneously dimming your affection for the old. You find yourself torn, grieving yet longing, wanting to hold on yet wanting to move forward. This tension is not weakness, it is a change of season. The soul cannot leap from one shore to another instantly. It must pass through an in-between space where you no longer belong to what was, yet have not fully seen what will be. That space, though uncomfortable, is where I speak the loudest. For when there is nothing left to lean on, you lean into me. My silent intervention also works by quieting the noise around you. Have you noticed that before every major shift, outside voices grow faint? Words that once influenced you suddenly lose their power. Opinions that once stirred you become strangely irrelevant. This is me, lowering the volume of the world so you may hear the whisper of heaven. It is not that I am displeased with them, I am simply adjusting your heart to the right frequency. This quietness is not meant to sever relationships, but to protect your focus as you enter a new season. You often think my guidance comes only through direct commands. But I also lead you through the weight you feel toward things no longer beneficial. At times I let a simple conversation exhaust you in an unusual way. At times I let a small situation linger in your thoughts for days. At times I let a promising plan lose its appeal. These are not emotional disorders, they are spiritual warnings. I do not want you blindly stepping into things that will pull you away from your purpose. So I allow a layer of resistance to wrap around your spirit so you cannot feel at peace when you walk outside my direction. My silence is also the way I build inner strength within you. You cannot develop depth if every shift comes with an explanation. You cannot become courageous if every trial arrives with advance notice. You cannot grow steadfast if every question is answered the moment it forms. It is in the dim, uncertain places that your heart learns perseverance. Your mind learns trust, and your soul learns devotion. I do not want you to know me only as a source of help. I want you to know me as the guide who walks with you through the darkness, like a shepherd leading his flock through the cold night. I go before you not always for you to see me, but so that you may follow. If you could see my footsteps at every moment, you would lean on your sight instead of leaning on me. That is why I keep a measured distance close enough to protect you, but not so close that you lose the sensitivity you need. Each time you take another step when you cannot see anything, you are strengthening your faith in a way nothing else can. When I intervene in silence, I am not only changing the circumstances around you, I am changing you. I am enlarging the capacity of your heart so you can receive more of what I desire to give. I am stripping away old patterns, limiting beliefs, and fears that made you shrink back. I am correcting the way you see yourself, not through the lens of your past, but in the light of your future. You think I am delaying, but in truth I am preparing you so that you will not shatter when a great blessing arrives. I do not want you to receive a blessing only to lose it, because your inner life is not yet strong enough to carry it. My silence is never meaningless. It always holds purpose, protection, preparation, and power. If you could see the full picture, you would bow in gratitude for the doors that closed, for the things that did not happen as you hoped, for the people who left at the right time, and for the paths I led you through even while you trembled with every step. For in the end, every quietness of mine is the voice of a love deeper than you can understand. My beloved child, you often ask me to give you signs, to show you direction, to let you know what will happen if you choose to move forward. But, my child, you do not realize that in withholding certain answers, I am preparing you to become someone who can receive things greater than understanding. There are kinds of revelation that are given only to souls that know how to wait, to those who believe without seeing, to those who patiently listen even when heaven seems silent. My silence always carries layers of meaning that a hurried mind cannot grasp. Ask yourself, why did I choose to speak to Samuel at night, when the temple was utterly still, when every sound had faded, when only the boy's breathing remained? Because the holiness of revelation requires a space where noise cannot intrude. So it is with you. My child, many times I quiet the sounds around you to carve out a pure space where you can clearly hear me calling your name. I do not raise my voice in the midst of chaos, for you would confuse it with all the other voices. I wait until your heart is calm enough to recognize my tone. And in the very moment you think I am silent, I am sharpening the sensitivity of your spirit. There are seasons when I lead you through darkness, not so that you may suffer, but so that you may learn to use spiritual ears instead of relying only on physical eyes. You will discover that often the light does not appear before the path, but after you have taken the step. I do not want you to demand proof before you believe. I want your belief to lead your steps. Just as Abraham went out, not knowing where he was going, simply because he trusted the one who called him as faithful. You think that if I explained everything, you would feel more at peace. But I know well that your peace does not lie in explanations. It lies in our relationship. A child does not need to understand how his father protects him. He only needs to know that his father will never abandon him. Your faith must be like that, innocent yet strong, simple yet unshakable. When I intervene in silence, I am not only working on your situation, I am building within your soul a kind of strength that no trial can destroy. I know exactly where you are, still fragile. I know the point at which you would collapse if a greater wave were to come. That is why I must lead you through stretches of road your instincts resist, through segments where your emotions want to turn back, through places where your intellect cannot find a way, not to disappoint you, but to forge in you a resilience that does not depend on your environment, a peace that does not depend on outcomes. Have you noticed that every time I am silent, you are forced to examine yourself? You begin to look into your hidden beliefs, your quiet motives, the things you rely on but have never named. My stillness is a mirror in which you see clearly what you could not see while I was speaking. I allow the empty space to appear, not to push you into despair, but so that the deepest layers of your heart may be exposed, like cracked, dry ground opening to receive the rain. Without such seasons, you would never grow. There is no silent place that is wasted. Every moment I am quiet carries a precise purpose, and I want you to understand that my silent intervention is never merely temporary. It is always the prologue to a greater unveiling. But before blessing arrives, I must refine you. Just as gold must pass through fire to remove impurities no human eye can detect, your heart must undergo a purification process whose meaning only I can read. You weep, but I see. You tremble, but I uphold you. You ask why, but I know you will understand later. Every prayer you thought had fallen into emptiness is being stored in my golden bowls, and every tear you shed in the absence of an answer is watering the seed of a coming vision. My silence sometimes makes you doubt yourself. You wonder whether you heard me wrong, whether you took the wrong step, whether you have disappointed me. But, my child, I want to erase every self-accusing voice within you. When I am silent, it does not mean you are wrong. It simply means I am leading you in my way. Error is not found in the fact that you do not see the path. It lies in refusing to move when I call. But, my child, you have moved. That alone is proof that you are on the right path. Those who fear the dark will stand still forever. But you chose to follow the call of the one you cannot see. To me, that is an expression of faithfulness more beautiful than any other deed. You often ask me to open your eyes so you may see the angels surrounding you, as Elisha's servant once saw on the hills of Dothan. But, my child, I want you to know that there are times when you do not need to see the angels. You only need to know that I am always there. You do not need to behold the armies of heaven to feel safe. You only need to trust that I never leave the battlefield. Such faith is the solid foundation that does not sway with emotion and is not shaken by circumstance. My silent intervention is often accompanied by an arrangement of stunning precision. Every encounter, every word spoken, every delay, every closed opportunity lies within my hand. You may think your life is being postponed, that the recent days have yielded no results. But in the unseen realm, I am moving many pieces at once. I am preparing the hearts of those you will meet. I am aligning the timing of what you will receive. I am removing what no longer fits. I am gently turning you away from dangerous crossroads. If these movements were not veiled in silence, they would overwhelm you. So I keep them beneath the cover of night, where only I can see them. And you become aware of the change only when everything is ready. You often wish I would speak in thunder, as I did to the people on Mount Sinai. But, my child, I know when my voice must be majestic and when it must be soft as a gentle breeze. If I spoke only with overwhelming force, you would live in fear. If I spoke only with tenderness, You would never learn holy reverence. That is why I choose the form that fits each season. Silence is one of the ways I protect you from haste, from shallow conclusions, and from decisions driven by emotion. When you stand in a time where everything seems unclear, I want you to remember this lack of clarity is not chaos, it is intentional covering. I am drawing a cloud over your path as I did over the tabernacle, not so you will lose your way, but so you will not rush ahead of me. As long as the cloud has not lifted, you do not need to move. As long as I have not spoken, you do not need to decide. As long as I remain silent, your only task is to stand firm in the confidence that I am at work. My silence is an invitation into deeper intimacy, where you do not know me merely through what I do, but through who I am. When you pass through this season, you will no longer long for immediate answers. You will long to be near me. You will no longer ask why things unfold as they do. You will ask what I am teaching you. You will no longer fear the darkness, for what darkness could ever prevent me from reaching you? Therefore, do not fear the stillness. Do not rush to escape it. Within that quiet are my heartbeat, my breath, and my guidance. A day will come when I open my mouth to speak, and you will recognize that every moment of my silence carried preparation for the brilliance that was coming. On that day you yourself will say, Lord, if not for the days when you were silent, I would not hear you as clearly as I do now, my beloved child. When I call someone into a heavenly journey, their path no longer resembles what it used to be. Steps once taken out of habit suddenly stop. Directions once logical suddenly lose their pull. Dreams once radiant suddenly fade without explanation. You think you have changed because of time, but in truth I have laid my hand upon your life to turn you toward a different course. No one is called yet allowed to continue at the same rhythm. No one is chosen yet remains with the same perspective. When I redirect, I do not only change your path, I change your soul. My direction always begins within. Before I alter the outward journey, I reshape the desires inside you. The things that once thrilled you will no longer be enough to carry you forward. The things that once excited you will no longer sustain you. This is not a loss of passion for life. It is a sign that I am pulling your soul toward the future I have already sketched. You may not yet see its contours, but I am igniting within you a holy restlessness, a stirring that prevents you from settling for the small, the temporary, or the expired. This restlessness does not drain you, it awakens you. It is what I placed in Isaiah before he saw my throne, what I stirred in Jeremiah before I put my words in his mouth, what I poured into the disciples before they laid down their nets. Holy restlessness always precedes a new calling. There are moments when you wonder why things you once considered achievements now feel meaningless. Why places you once called safe no longer hold your steps. Why pursuits you once chased with passion now find no room in your heart. You think you have changed too much, but I say to you, I am changing the wind. You no longer belong to the old harbors because I have raised your sail to catch a new breeze. It would be dangerous for you to cling to what once was simply because it was beautiful. No season lasts forever. No journey is complete if you refuse to move forward. When I redirect, you will notice doors that once opened easily begin to slow. People who once walked beside you begin to part ways. Opportunities once abundant begin to fade. You are not being abandoned, you are being led. If I desire a door to remain open, nothing can close it. But if I choose to close one, no amount of pleading can reopen it for your good. I do not lead you to places where my light does not shine. I do not guide you to crossroads where blessing does not wait. You see change as loss, but I see it as a way to free you from what would eventually weigh down your soul. I remember when I redirected Moses' life. He spent 40 years in a palace, glory, power, position, all seemingly perfect for a man with a heart to deliver his people. But as you know, I did not use the palace to prepare him. I used the wilderness. I did not use Egypt's sword to shape him. I used a flock of sheep. I did not use the applause of crowds. I used the wind of the desert. From a human perspective, that turn made little sense. But from my perspective, it was the necessary redirection to form a man humble enough, enduring enough, and discerning enough to stand before the greatness I was entrusting to him. In the same way, I shift your surroundings not to make you lose, but to train you through what no one sees. You wonder why you must take the long way. I know it is the only way that makes your heart strong without pride, sincere without naivety, soft without fragility. I do not redirect to diminish you. I redirect to expand you. Every time I change your direction, I am saying that you have outgrown the capacity of the old season. That season is no longer wide enough to contain the grace I have placed within you. It is not that you are too little, it is that you are too much. That is why I must lead you to another horizon. I am not leading you to something lower. I am leading you to something deeper. Not to a louder place, but to a place where your soul can hear the rhythm of my will more clearly than ever before. Redirection is not interruption, it is elevation. Do you know what I care about most when I redirect you? It is the alignment between your steps and the cadence of heaven. You cannot run after something I have not given its time. You cannot move forward into what has already completed its season. You cannot hold on to what I have withdrawn from your hands. When you cling, you hurt. When you release, you grow. You were not born to be stuck. You were born to move with divine guidance. Like the cloud that led Israel of old when the cloud stayed. They stayed. When the cloud lifted, they went. It was not they who chose the time. Heaven chose it. There are days when you feel everything is being taken too quickly, too suddenly, too without warning. But my child, nothing leaves your life without passing through my hand first. Whenever I remove something, I do not merely take it away. I move it to the place where it belongs. And for you, I open another way. No closure is meaningless. Every closure leans toward completeness. But you will only see this when you look with eyes of trust. My reorientation sometimes takes the shape of disrupting the rhythm you have grown accustomed to. You are used to leaning on habit, yet I want you to learn to lean on me. You are used to certainty, yet I want you to grow familiar with obedience. You are used to being in control, yet I want you to learn how to yield to my will. Reorientation is not coercion, it is an invitation. I invite you to step beyond the limits you built for yourself, so that you may meet the version of yourself you have never known. What I prepare for you is never behind you, it is always ahead. That is why I must redirect your gaze. You look too easily at what has passed, things that once nurtured your soul in a particular season. But not everything that once brought life is meant to carry you to the end of your days. Some things I give only for a time. Walk too far with them and you will grow weary. Hold on too long and you will shrink. You must walk with me to know what is present and what is complete. When I redirect you, I do not do it hastily. I turn you gently, like a potter turning the wheel bit by bit so you do not break. You do not notice the daily turning, but in time you will find yourself standing in an entirely different place. You did not leap there, I led you there. Every step is calculated. Every turn has purpose. Every pause has reason. This reorientation is not meant to make you smaller. It is meant to open you wider. not to keep you safe inside a cocoon, but to help you break free and take flight. Not to lead you to something lesser, but to lead you deeper into my will. And one day, when you stand exactly where I destined you to be, you will realize that every turn that once felt sudden was a straight line in my eyes. I was never lost. I was leading you, only you could not yet see the whole landscape. My child, there are things you cannot carry from the old season into the new, not because they are bad, but because their weight will slow you on the long road ahead. I do not want you to change only on the surface. I want you transformed at the core. No one is called into great purposes while clinging to the old frameworks that once limited them. Reorientation is not merely about changing direction. It is about being reshaped. When I redirect you, I also change the way you think. I dismantle patterns that kept you repeating the same cycles. I shake beliefs you assumed were right, only so you may discover they no longer fit the path ahead. You see this shaking as confusion, but I see it as an essential part of spiritual rebirth. Not everything that once helped you survive can help you soar. A seed needs its shell to remain alive, but once it sprouts, that shell becomes unnecessary. So it is with you. What protected you in a former season may now be what holds you back. Therefore, I must remove it. I know that the hardest part of reorientation is not stepping into the new direction, but accepting that the old direction has finished its purpose. The human heart clings to what is familiar, and you are no different. But my child, if you cling to what is complete, you will not have empty hands to receive what I am giving. I never take it without preparing something worthy to replace it. But before you can see that, I must teach you how to release. Do you remember when I called Jonah? I sent him to Nineveh, but he ran the opposite way. Yet I did not punish him for fear. I sent a wind to stop him from going further outside my will. I will not let you run endlessly into directions not meant for you. When reorientation begins, I block the paths you try to force open by your own strength. You feel disappointment, but I see rescue. I do not allow those I choose to wander away from the place where blessing awaits at the appointed time. I also use reorientation to clarify the purpose I have placed within you. There are times when you pursue good-looking goals, but they are built on fear, comparison, or human expectations. I do not want you to live bound by those forces. I want you to live by heavenly assignment. That is why I lead you out of crossroads, where your soul is scattered in many directions. I gather you back together, your vision, your calling, your inner essence that I formed in you from the beginning. You cannot chase 10 things at once and expect to stay on the right path. I must make everything clear. When I redirect your journey, you will notice that words which once shook you now lose their weight. Expectations that once bound you now fall away like mist. The definitions others placed on you will drop from your soul like dust carried away by the wind. You no longer live to please anyone. You live to fulfill my will. I remove from you the voices that do not belong to me, not to make you hard, but to teach you to discern the voice of the guide from the voice of the detour. Reorientation also manifests through changes in rhythm. You will find yourself suddenly slowing down or suddenly speeding up, depending on my will. There are moments when I pull you out of the whirlwind of busyness because noise blinds you to the subtle signals I am sending. And there are moments when I thrust you into a faster pace so you may leave behind the comfort zones you have inhabited too long. I do not operate according to the tempo you prefer. I operate according to the tempo aligned with the vision I have for you. Thus, you need not worry when a season suddenly shifts speed. I am adjusting your clock to match the clock of heaven. When I redirect you, I also reshape how you see yourself. You once defined yourself by what you did, by what others thought of you, or by what you feared they might say. But I break those definitions to return you to truth. You are the one I chose. You are not the product of failures. You are the proof of calling. You are not the sum of criticism. You bear the breath of the Creator. I redirect not only to shift your steps, but to restore your true identity, the one I gave you before you were formed in the womb. When I lead you out of what is familiar, it is not a sign that you are being abandoned. On the contrary, it is the clearest evidence that I am leading you somewhere, reserved only for those who heed my voice above their emotions. You will learn to recognize my presence, not through convenience, but through alignment. My signs are not always ease. Sometimes they are a gentle but firm pull that will not allow you to remain, even when you do not yet understand why you must go. Reorientation never arrives without testing. To go far, I must strengthen your feet. For the new wind to carry you forward, I must let old branches fall, branches you have grown too accustomed to carrying. For my voice to become clearer, I must silence the things that once drowned it out. No preparation comes without surrender. No transformation comes without release. But alongside the trials, I give grace, and where my grace is full, no pain is wasted. Have you noticed that the things which wound you most often open the greatest pathways? A relationship ending may be the means by which I free your heart from misguided expectations. A closed door may be my gentle warning that something better is ahead. A faded dream may be the sign that I am preparing a deeper, richer dream, one that fits the true nature of your soul. I do not redirect to leave you empty. I redirect so you do not miss what is coming. Do not think reorientation will leave you lost. I stand before you to lead. I stand behind you to guard. I stand beside you to testify that you are not alone. You may not see the whole road, but I do. You may not understand every step, but I do. You may not know where you are going, but I have already arrived there. Reorientation is difficult only for those who believe they must carve their own path. But for the one who knows I am the guide, reorientation is safety. If you are in a season where everything familiar is shifting, do not fear. You are not lost. You are being led. I redirect not because you are wrong, but because heaven's time has come, and when heaven has appointed the hour, nothing can hinder your steps from entering what I have prepared. My beloved child, my reorientation is not merely an event, but a delicate process in which every subtle movement carries profound meaning. You see change as a series of separate incidents, but I see them as interlinked chains, woven together to lead you to an appointed place I set for you before the foundation of the world. Nothing I do is fragmented. Every shift is woven with a precision beyond human understanding. When I redirect you, I do not merely change your path, I transform the very structure of your life in ways you could never accomplish on your own. There will be moments when it feels as if the very ground beneath your feet is shifting. The things you once leaned on, stability, habits, plans, even people, suddenly feel fragile. You may wonder whether you have done something wrong, or whether I have withdrawn and left you alone with unanswered questions. But my child, I never use abandonment as a teacher. When I allow these things to become unstable, it is not collapse, it is preparation. I am sinking the old foundation so you cannot return to the shoreline of yesterday. You cannot see the new road while you are still standing on the old one. I know these sensations make you tremble. Change can strike like unexpected waves on a shore, leaving you unsure of direction. But just as I spoke to Joshua when he stood before a great river, be strong and courageous. For I am with you, I speak the same to you. Reorientation is always accompanied by my presence, even when you cannot sense it. If I intend to move you, I never move you alone. I reposition everything necessary to protect you during the shift. When something you once loved suddenly feels small, tight, or confining, it is not coincidence. It is an invitation. I am telling you that you were made for something larger, deeper, wider. A vessel is full only when held within its old mold. But when the mold expands, its former fullness becomes insufficient. So it is with your soul. I am widening the mold of your being. And because of that, what once filled you can no longer satisfy you. Emptiness is not void. It is the space I prepare so I may pour in something new. There are things you cling to because they once supported you through difficult seasons. You treat them like lifeboats, and the stability they gave convinces you that you cannot live without them. But my child, I never intended for you to cling to anything more tightly than you cling to me. When you begin to find safety in what I gave rather than in me, that is when I must shift things. I do not remove to punish, I remove to rescue you from hidden dependence. Not everything that once comforted you is strong enough to carry your soul into the seasons ahead. So I take certain things off your path, so you do not bear a weight that was never meant for you. Do you remember the house I instructed Ezekiel to measure before I revealed the new glory? I led him through every detail, every room, every threshold, to build anew. I first showed him what must be cleared away. You too are in a season of measurement. I walk through every corridor of your heart, the fears of being left behind, the wounds carved by old words, the memories still bearing iron hooks not to condemn but to reveal what must be removed for the next journey. You cannot carry these burdens into the future. Their weight would destroy the freedom you need to step into the role I have prepared for you. My reorientation is always deeply personal. I do not work for you according to someone else's blueprint. I do not use another's journey to write your story. Every person I call is led through a unique path. Because no two mandates are identical, so do not compare your road with anyone else's. If their path seems faster, easier, or clearer, remember they do not carry what you carry, and you do not carry what they do. My adjustments in your life are designed specifically for the context of your soul, your calling, and your temperament. Everything will align in its right time. You do not need to force yourself into the rhythm of others. There are times when I reorient you by leading you into temporary solitude, not to isolate you from the world, but to make my voice clearer. I pull you away from the whirl of conversations, from the noise of well-intentioned advice not meant for you, from voices that unintentionally pull you toward choices not ordained by heaven. I do this so you will know that the new season requires sharper focus, lighter spirit, and deeper sensitivity. Without silence, you would miss whispers, thin as breath, that I am sending your way. Losing your way is sometimes part of reorientation, not straying from my will, but straying from the expectations you placed upon yourself. When you feel unsure of where to go, it is a sign that I am taking control so that you may relinquish control. Control belongs to you. Guidance belongs to me. Control breeds fear. Guidance brings rest. Control demands you draw your own map. Guidance only asks you to follow my steps. So I allow you to not know for a little while. So you no longer lean on your calculations but learn to lean on my faithfulness. I also reorient by reopening things you thought were closed forever. Sometimes I resurrect an old dream, but in a different form. Sometimes I kindle a new desire that is really the continuation of an older calling. I never waste anything. Every fragment of your journey has a place in heaven's mosaic. But I never let you carry yesterday's version into tomorrow's future. If I bring something back to life, it is because you are now mature enough to carry it rightly. What was once a burden can become a gift when it is placed in my hands. My beloved child, I want to tell you this so you will not hesitate when the shifts begin. My reorientation always leads to expansion. You will not become smaller, you will grow. You will not become less, you will become clearer. You will not lose your identity, you will step deeper into it. You will not lose yourself, you will discover the version of you that I designed from the very beginning. Every turn that feels like disorientation is in truth bringing you closer to your truest self. And when you finally stand in that place, the place I prepared for you, you will understand this. Not a single delay was meaningless. Not a single redirection was a mistake. Not a single interruption was a failure. All of it was the journey. All of it was guidance. All of it was love, operating under the form of change. I am leading you to a place where your feet have never been, but where your soul was woven to belong. Do not fear the turn. Do not fear the shift. Do not fear leaving what you understand. Let me take your hand. I know the way, and I never lose direction. When I prepare someone for a new commission, I do not begin by giving them a task. I begin by shaping their soul. The things you want to see as signs of calling open doors, confirmations, favor, are often not the first steps. The first step is always the quiet work within. Before I place a sword in someone's hand, I teach them how to keep their heart tender. Before I lead them before crowds, I lead them into solitude. Before I speak clearly about their destiny, I give them moments in which my silence thunders louder than any voice. True preparation does not take place on the stage, it takes place in the wilderness. You think the wilderness is a sign of my withdrawal, but the wilderness is the school of glory. In the driest places, you learn to hear me most clearly. In the places where no one knows your name, you learn that my name is enough. In the places where earthly supports fall away, you learn to walk by faith rather than by familiarity. It is in that wilderness that I prepare the ones I intend to use for extraordinary work. No one I use powerfully has escaped long seasons of stillness. No one entrusted with great responsibility has bypassed the lessons of surrender in hidden places. No one receives the jewel for their crown before they have known the days of dust in their own breath. Look at the ones I have used throughout the divine story. None were prepared in convenience. Joseph carried a dream, but had to walk through the pit, the prison, and lingering misunderstandings to form the humility required for his role. David was anointed king while still young, yet instead of ascending to the throne, he fled into caves and hid from dangers that seemed unrelated to the promise. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness learning to hear me. Those years were not delay, they were preparation. Had they skipped those years, they would have become weak kings, arrogant leaders, or servants who did not know my heart. You, too, are in such a process whose outward appearance does not reflect the greatness I am building within. You see days passing without visible change, but I see spiritual roots growing deep into the soil. People measure preparation by results. I measure by depth. People measure by speed. I measure by endurance. People measure by noise. I measure by stillness. You are not called to be a flame that flickers and vanishes. You are called to be a steady light, unquenchable even when storms pass over you. To become such a light, you must be shaped in places unseen. I know you have often wondered why the promises I placed over your life have not yet come to pass. You ask why I show you glimpses of the future only to lead you into roads that appear unrelated to your calling. My child, it is because the weight of the glory I intend for you requires a foundation you cannot build in a moment. If I placed you in the place of destiny too soon, that very place would crush you. But if you are prepared well, that same place will reveal a beauty you never knew was yours. My preparation does not only involve adding to your life, sometimes it involves taking away. I remove circles of relationships that exhaust your soul. I remove old patterns of thought that pull you away from new vision. I remove the habit of relying on your own strength so that you learn to rely fully on me. I do not remove to empty you. I remove to cleanse you. A new vessel cannot hold new wine if old residue remains. You cannot step into your new assignment while your heart is still tied to seasons that have ended. You think preparation must come with excitement. But my child, sometimes preparation comes with silence. Not the silence of abandonment, but the silence of incubation. Just as a pregnant woman cannot see growth with each passing second, yet knows life is forming within her, so you, too, are carrying something I have planted. When I prepare you, you do not have to feel every moment. You only need to trust that I am working. A day will come when you look back and realize that every slow season, every delay, every separation carried a vital piece of heavenly birthing. Sometimes my preparation takes the shape of such profound stillness that it makes you doubt yourself. You ask, have I gone the wrong way? Have I lost your voice? But my child, preparation requires me to quiet every other sound, so the tone of my voice becomes distinguishable. You cannot learn heaven's language in the chaos of earth, and so I dim the distractions around you. I make former comforts feel dull. I cause old amusements to lose their pull, not to isolate you, but to place you in the posture of deeper union. My preparation also involves building in you a capacity for endurance. You cannot go far if you rely only on fleeting emotion, nor can you bear the weight of new responsibility if your soul is still wounded by old disappointments. I lead you through trials that seem meaningless so you will not collapse under the real weight when it comes. I allow you to face a few rejections so you may stand firm before greater doors. I allow you to experience delays so you may learn to wait without drying up inside. I allow you to walk through small failures so you may learn that failure is not an ending, but a teacher of wisdom. In all my preparation, I place the utmost focus on the heart. For a new commissioning is not merely a task, it is a sacred responsibility, and sacred responsibility requires a heart that is tender, unburdened by bitterness from the past, unshaken by the future, and unmoved by applause or the fear of rejection. I shape your heart so it becomes strong enough to love, deep enough to forgive, wide enough to carry the burdens of others without growing weary, and faithful enough to continue even when results are not immediately seen. My child, when I prepare a new assignment, I do not only prepare you for the work, I prepare the work for you. I open the hearts of those you will meet. I lay future bridges. I align the timing of events. I remove what does not belong on your path. I till the soil before placing you upon it. You think you are walking alone toward the unknown, but I have been there long before you, working, arranging, weaving for months, for years, sometimes even generations. Be at peace, for preparation is never a sign of delay, but a sign that something great is drawing near. Everything I am doing is for the day I lead you into the place where you will say, had it not been for those hidden seasons, I could not stand firmly here. You are not merely being called, you are being molded, refined, and shaped into a sharp instrument in my hand. And when that day comes, when the new assignment unfolds before you, you will step into it, not with the trembling of one unprepared, but with the quiet confidence of one who knows that everything has been orchestrated by the hand of God. My beloved child, when I prepare you for a new commissioning, I do not only strengthen your might, I also soothe the parts of your inner being that remain unhealed. For a wounded soul cannot lift the hearts of others with wholeness. I do not send you out with a fractured heart. I send you out with a heart touched by me, softened and cleansed of the scars you once considered normal. True preparation always includes healing, not loud healing, but the silent kind, where I come to you not as commander, but as comforter. There are things you have buried so deeply that you believe they no longer affect you, but I see them still resting like fragments of broken glass beneath soft soil. A small tremor can bring them to the surface, cutting your heart unexpectedly. You think the pain comes from the present circumstance, but in truth it rises from old layers not yet lifted. That is why I lead you into circumstances that reveal these fragments, not to wound you, but to show you they still exist. A wound you cannot see is a wound that cannot be healed, and I want no cut left in your soul that could bleed on the day you step into your new assignment. Not all of my preparation takes place in gentle stillness. Sometimes it takes the shape of breaking. You feel as if I am bending something inside you. But remember, wood cannot be shaped into a bow unless it is heated and bent. Clay cannot become a vessel unless it is pressed. A grain of wheat cannot bear fruit unless it falls and dies. You are being formed, and the pain you feel is not the pain of destruction, but the pain of becoming. That pain is proof that I am at work. In this preparation, I also teach you inner stillness. Not the stillness that comes when life is peaceful, but the stillness that remains in the midst of chaos, the kind that allows you to hear my voice even as storms roar. One who carries a new assignment must know how to hold peace even as the world trembles. You cannot lead anyone into rest if you are swayed by every shift. Therefore, I allow you to experience seasons that seem contradictory, so you may learn that true peace does not come from circumstances, but from my presence. When you learn to lean on me, you will realize that storms simply reveal the strength I have built within you. Sometimes my preparation comes through separations you did not expect. People who once ran beside you begin turning toward another direction. Connections that once supported you begin to feel heavy. You believe you have lost stability, but I know those relationships are no longer suited for the altitude to which I am lifting you. Not everyone can breathe at the spiritual height I am preparing for you. Some stop not because they are wrong, but because their path ends at a different intersection. I remove them so nothing holds you back. I remove them so your wings may be lighter. I remove them so you may rely on me more than on them. This is not punishment. It is protection. Preparation for the new assignment also includes teaching you to see what others cannot. You cannot lead if you see only with natural sight. I must train you to see what I see, to see potential where others see wilderness, to see a path where others see a dead end, to see life where others see ruins. You cannot carry hope to others unless you learn to read the movements of heaven, even in circumstances that look like failure. That is why I lead you through layers of perplexing situations, not to torment you, but to open your spiritual eyes. When those eyes open, you will recognize that I never stopped working. Another vital part of preparation is learning to discern what is of me and what is not. You are being trained to distinguish the delicate difference between my voice and your emotions, between the whisper of the Spirit of truth and the urging of fear. Many believe they are led by me while they are following pride or fear of lack. You must not fall into such illusions. I lead you through ambiguous situations so you learn to recognize the fragrance of divine guidance. When you become familiar with my voice, You will not be deceived by dazzling invitations that are hollow inside. My child, my preparation also includes cultivating patience. A new assignment is not for the hurried soul. You must learn to stand still when I say still, and to move when I say move, not according to the pace of those beside you, but according to the rhythm I have set in your spirit. This requires the capacity to wait, a waiting that is not inactivity, but readiness, like a soldier awaiting the trumpet. You cannot skip steps. If you go ahead of me, you will enter places I have not prepared. If you lag behind, you will miss the encounters I arranged. Time is sacred, and I am teaching you to understand it. Preparation for a new assignment also includes this: I enlarge the endurance of your heart. I will entrust to you weary souls, wounded hearts, fragile spirits, even those who do not yet know how to love in return. If you have not learned to carry your own pain with grace, you will not be able to carry theirs. That is why I lead you through experiences that soften your heart. I do not desire you to become hardened. I desire you to become resilient with compassion. You can be strong without being cold. You can be steady without becoming numb. You can hold the truth without losing kindness. These qualities do not come from easy seasons. They come from moments when you lean your head on my shoulder to breathe. My preparation also carries a prophetic nature. I sow into you fragments of future memory, not memories of what has happened, but memories of what will be. At times you see a fleeting image you cannot explain. At times you feel an urgency that does not come from emotion. At times you carry a certainty that your circumstances do not support. This is my spirit, reminding your soul of the day when what you glimpse will become reality. These glimpses are not fantasies. They are heavenly signs that you are being prepared for something far greater than you imagine. Everything I am doing in secret is directed toward one single goal: to make you into a person who can carry the fullness of my glory without breaking. A person who can stand firm in the storm and still keep a pure heart. A person who can walk into darkness without losing the light. You are not only being prepared for work, you are being prepared for a transformation of your very self, so that you may become the kind of person heaven itself recognizes. And when the new assignment unfolds, you will understand that not a single second of this season of preparation was wasted. Every tear, every moment of silence, every wait, every separation, every seeming step backward, everything that appeared pointless, all of it has been the foundational stonework of a sacred structure that only I could build. My beloved child, when the journey of preparation is nearing its final phase, you will begin to sense very subtle movements in your spirit, shifts like the changing of a season that only those who have lived long enough can discern. They are not loud, not showy, not announced by dazzling signs, but by small changes in the rhythm of your soul. You will realize that what once threw you into confusion no longer unsettles you. Questions that once weighed heavily on your mind no longer hold power over you, not because you now possess all the answers, but because you have been shaped into someone who no longer depends on answers. You have learned to trust me even while everything is not yet clear. This is the mark of heavenly maturity, not seeing before you step, but stepping and knowing I will make the way. Preparation at this stage is like the moment the sky brightens before dawn. The light is not yet full, but the darkness has lost its dominion. You may still feel as if you are in between, no longer belonging to the old season, yet not fully standing in the new. But my child, it is precisely in that overlap that your soul grows strongest. That is where I place in you new understanding, spiritual instincts you did not possess before. You begin to see what natural eyes cannot see. You begin to sense the rhythms of heaven before they happen. You begin to hear gentle whispers that were once drowned out by the noise of busyness. That in-between place is where I position you to complete your preparation. In this phase, you will also find yourself becoming lighter. Not lighter in the shallow sense of avoiding responsibility, but lighter in the way of one who no longer carries burdens that do not belong to them. I have removed from you worries etched into your mind over long years. I have dissolved invisible fears that kept you frozen in place. I have stripped away expectations from people that once forced you to live untrue to yourself. Where you once carried weight, there is now room to breathe. Where you once felt cramped, there is now space for creativity. This lightness is not loss. It is the sign that you are ready to receive the new thing I have prepared. I want you to understand that preparation is not only about you and your soul. It is also about those I will entrust to you in the future. Every step you take, every trial you endure, every lesson learned in silence will become water for thirsty hearts. I am teaching you how to be a safe place for other souls without being swept away by their storms. I am teaching you how to hold peace while others no longer know how to stand. I am teaching you how to love in a mature way, a love that does not demand return, does not insist on being fully understood, is not chained by the weaknesses of others, but flows from the wellspring I have placed within you. Preparation also requires that you learn to release what no longer fits. When I lead you into a new phase, what belonged to the old season will no longer carry the fragrance of life. Habits that were once helpful will grow rigid. Relationships that once encouraged will become heavy. Ways of thinking that once kept you standing will turn into barriers that keep you from going further. Do not see this as chaos. It is the sign that you are changing seasons. A seed that has sprouted cannot keep its former shape. You must be willing to change not to please people, but to step into the pattern of heaven. Another sign of mature preparation is when you begin to love what I love and turn away from what I turn away from, not through forced effort, but through an inward transformation. You find your heart no longer running after things that once fascinated you. You no longer wish to say the words that once slipped so easily from your lips. You no longer desire conversations that leave your soul dry. You no longer wish to remain in spaces that make your spirit shrink. No one is ordering you. It is my spirit directing your steps from within. This is the sign that you are no longer being shaped by old habits, but by my silent yet sovereign pull. I also teach you an important lesson in this season of preparation: reverence for my timing. You have seen enough to believe that I work without a second's delay and without a single misstep. I do not only know what you need, I know when you need it. If something arrives too early, it can crush your soul. If it comes too late, it can wither your hope. But I am the one who never arrives out of time. Every opportunity I open is weighed against the strength of your inner life. Every person I bring into your path is matched to the new phase you are entering. Every direction I set before you is designed to connect with the promise I spoke from the beginning. When you see this precision, you will understand that waiting is not waste. It is part of a heavenly strategy. And then there will come a day so gentle yet unmistakable when you sense a deep movement within your spirit, a pull to move forward without fear. Not the urge of impatience, but of certainty. Not the push of emotion, but the inner knowing that the season has come. You will not need external signs to confirm it. I myself, within you, will be enough testimony. Just as a woman knows when her hour of birth has come without needing anyone to explain it, so will your soul know that what I planted in you has reached full term. When that moment arrives, you will see that everything that once broke your heart in the season of preparation was actually forming the foundation stones. Solitude taught you to listen. Delay taught you patience. Pruning taught you surrender. Separation taught you discernment. Unanswered questions taught you trust, and all these together brought you to a place where you can stand firm, leaning on nothing but my presence. The new assignment will not arrive with drums and fanfare, but through a door that opens so quietly that only sensitive souls recognize it. You will not enter with display, but with the calm of one who knows everything has been prepared beforehand. You will not walk in by your own strength. You will walk in with the strength I have built into you through every silent season. And as you cross that threshold, you will realize this: I was not only preparing you for an assignment, I was preparing you for yourself, for the person you were created to become, for the one I had in mind when I called your name in eternity. My beloved child, the most important thing you must learn is not how to move quickly, but how to listen, for the spiritual journey is not guided by the lamps of human wisdom, but by the lamp of my word. A person can walk in error for a lifetime simply by mishearing one voice. A person can miss their season by chasing the noise of their own heart instead of the stillness of heaven. In this world, there are countless invitations, countless counsels, countless urgings, but only one voice that leads you to life. Therefore, discerning my voice is the key to guarding both your soul and your path. There are voices that come like a gentle breeze, carrying no obvious danger, yet bearing subtle deviation. They do not drag you far at once, they only shift you by a single degree. And over time, you will find yourself in a place I never intended you to go. Satan never needs to throw you into the abyss, he only needs to draw you away from the center of my will. David needed only one diverted glance, and his whole kingdom bore the consequences. Solomon needed only a few small compromises, and his wisdom became entangled. My voice is straightforward. The voice of darkness always wears a layer of sweetness. Therefore, discernment is not merely knowing what sounds right, but knowing what carries my breath. Before you can distinguish my voice, you must learn this: my voice never thrives in noise. It is not that I cannot thunder. It is that I choose to whisper so that your heart must become still to hear. My voice is like the gentle sound Elijah heard in the cleft of the rock, not in the strong wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, but in the still, small whisper. I speak this way because if I only spoke in thunder, you would obey from fear, but I desire obedience born of love. And only those who love me will recognize my whisper amid the roaring voices of the world. To recognize my voice, you must begin with the heart. A heart filled with fear will hear urgings. A heart filled with ambition will hear striving. A heart filled with wounds will hear accusation. A heart filled with anger will hear the call for revenge. But a heart at rest in me will recognize the tone of heaven. Discernment, therefore, does not begin with the ear. It begins with inner stillness. If your heart is still torn by storms that have not yet quieted, you will struggle to hear me even when I speak clearly. But if your heart is anchored in my presence, then even if 1,000 voices ring out around you, you will recognize my voice the way a child recognizes the voice of his father in the crowd. My voice always carries the same essence: peace. Not the peace of emotion, but peace like a river flowing beneath the surface, unmoved by the disturbances above. When I speak, you will feel a steadiness, an assurance that does not need to be forced. I never push you with panic. I never shove you with haste. I never stir you with uncontrollable urgency. My voice carries weight but does not crush, carries authority but does not suffocate, carries solemnity but never drags you into fear. If you hear a voice that confuses you, agitates you, or rushes you, know that it is not my voice. The second way to discern my voice is to recognize that my voice always aligns with truth. Truth is not always comfortable, but it is always clear, straight, and never contradictory to my nature. I never speak in ways that oppose what I have revealed in my word. I never speak in ways that glorify the self instead of glorifying me. I never speak in ways that feed fear. I never speak in ways that lead you away from the light. My voice is the truth, and that truth frees. If a voice makes you shrink under the weight of guilt, it is not mine, for my voice draws you out of darkness into light, even when that light exposes what you wish to hide. My child, discerning, my voice is also connected to the continuity of your spirit. My voice never contradicts what I have spoken to you over time. I am not the author of confusion. I do not change my mind according to human emotions. If a voice goes against the direction I have placed in your heart through many seasons, that voice is not from me. My voice is consistent like the breath of life. Though circumstances change, my purpose for you does not. I do not lead you up a mountain only to push you off a cliff. I do not plant a promise in you only to send another voice to cancel it. I am faithful, and my voice bears the mark of that faithfulness. Another truth you must learn: my voice never leads you to despise others. It does not stir arrogance, does not encourage criticism, does not push you into unnecessary confrontation. When I speak, you will feel your heart soften, your mind open, and humility rise. Even when I correct you, my corrections carry the warmth of restoration. The enemy's voice drains hope. My voice causes you to rise. The enemy's voice drives you to hide. My voice calls you to face truth without trembling. The enemy's voice makes you feel unworthy. My voice reminds you that you belong to me. To hear me among 1,000 voices, you must learn the art of soul volume reduction, reducing the echoes of fear, reducing the noise of human opinion, reducing the voice of need, reducing the clamor of ambition. When those sounds quiet down, my voice becomes distinct, not because I speak louder, but because your heart has become quieter. Inner quietness is the soundboard heaven uses to amplify my whisper. One of the strongest signs of discerning my voice is the transformation of your inner attitude. When I speak, you will find yourself wanting to step into the light, even if that light reveals something you wish to keep hidden. You will still desire to enter. When I speak, you will want to release what once held you captive. When I speak, you will feel a longing to do what is right, even when right is not easy. When I speak, you will sense your heart becoming more generous, lighter, purer. This is the essence of my voice. It cleanses, it renews, it leads toward life. My voice can come at any moment in silence, in prayer, in scripture, in dreams, in conversation, or in a moment that seems ordinary. But the nature of that voice never changes. I speak to guide, not to confuse, to heal, not to bury you in guilt, to lead you into the future, not to trap you in the past. Discerning my voice is not a talent, it is the fruit of a relationship. Those who love me will recognize my voice not because they are skilled, but because they belong to me. If you remain close to me, recognizing my voice will become as natural as breathing. My beloved child, you will come to see that my voice does not only sound in sacred moments, it also appears in the smallest details of daily life. For I am not only the God of great miracles, I am also the God of every detail. I am present in the falling leaf, in the morning breeze, in the footsteps on the street, and in the moments you thought held nothing special. My voice does not speak only during deep prayer. It sometimes comes while you wash dishes, while you walk, while you work, or when you lower your head in exhaustion. You do not need to strain to hear me. You only need to live aware that I am near. When your mind becomes familiar with my nearness, you will recognize my voice in places no one expects. Discerning my voice requires you to understand that I speak not only with words, I also speak with signs. I speak through open doors and closed ones. I speak through peace in choices that confuse others, and through unrest in things others consider advantageous. I speak through the fading of an old desire, and through the sudden spark of a longing you never had before. I speak through prolonged silence, for silence is sometimes a gentle refusal. I speak through delay, for delay is sometimes protection from what is not yet time. I speak through the deep, steady, stirring in your spirit, a stirring unlike impulse, but like an unshakable conviction. My voice is not limited to language. It flows through every form I choose to reveal heaven's intent. There are voices that do not come from me, yet wear the mask of goodness. These are the voices of your own mind, thoughts woven from experience, emotion, and fear. Sometimes they sound so much like my voice that you become confused. But the voice of the mind always bears the trace of self-protection. It leads you toward what is safe rather than what is right. It urges you toward the harbor rather than the vast ocean where I am calling you. It directs you to cling to what no longer belongs to you simply because you fear loss. That voice leans on logic, on calculation, on the anxious question, what if I'm wrong? But my voice transcends calculation. My voice dares to call you out of the boat like Peter, and though it sounds irrational, your spirit knows it is the voice of the Father. There are other voices that come from your memories. Memory can speak loudly because it is tied to pain and unhealed wounds. That voice tells you that you are unworthy, not strong enough, not gifted enough, not clean enough to step into what I am calling you to. It keeps you in the old season because the new one requires you to face yourself. But my child, my voice never repeats accusations I have already erased. I do not use the scars of your past to block your future. I do not use shame to lead you. If a voice makes you tremble under the weight of condemnation, it is not my voice. There are also voices that come from other people, whether unintentionally or on purpose. Their words may carry concern, but they are not always aligned with the path I have set for you. Some will advise you according to what they believe is wisdom, yet human wisdom does not always harmonize with the will of heaven. Some will tell you to slow down when I am calling you forward. Some will urge you to hold on to what I am asking you to release. Some will encourage you to chase dreams that are not yours, simply because they want to see you succeed by their standards. You must never lean on any human voice more than you lean on mine. The counsel of others can be helpful, but it can never replace the guidance of your Heavenly Father. One of the secrets of discerning my voice lies in faithfulness in the small things. When you are faithful to listen to me in matters that seem insignificant, your spiritual ears become sensitive. That is how Samuel, a child sleeping in the temple, became a man who could hear every breath of heaven. My voice rarely comes to those who seek only great revelations. It often comes to those who are faithful in the quiet, faithful in the unseen hours of prayer, faithful in doing what is right when no one is there to praise them. Such faithfulness makes your soul refined, so much so that the slightest breeze of my spirit is enough for you to know that I am speaking. Another thing you must understand, my voice never leads you along shortcuts. People love shortcuts because they are quick, easy, and less painful. But shortcuts never build depth. My voice leads you along the road that I know will best shape your soul, even if it is longer than you would like. I do not lead you toward instant success. I lead you toward lasting maturity. Therefore, if a voice promises that you can bypass preparation, bypass humility, bypass the death of the self in order to reach glory, know that this voice is not from me. I do not lift you up in an elevator. I build each step beneath your feet. My child, the deepest aspect of discerning my voice is learning to sense the spiritual fragrance of that word. My voice carries the aroma of life, of pure hope, of strong yet gentle faith. My voice brings spiritual alertness, not tension. It never compels you to retaliate or prove yourself. It lifts you up without inflating your ego. It makes you strong without making you hard. It blends the solemnity of holiness with the sweetness of grace. When my voice comes, your soul knows it is being invited deeper into truth. Even when it touches areas you would rather hide, it still leads you into freedom, not imprisonment. If you hear a voice that makes you withdraw in fear of being exposed, that voice is not from me. But if the voice you hear moves you to open your heart, even though you know the light will shine on places you once tried to conceal, then it is I who am stepping in. Discerning my voice is not a task to finish, it is a life to be lived. The closer you draw to me, the more clearly you hear. The more you love me, the more you recognize, the more you walk with me, the less easily you are deceived by other voices. Do not worry if you do not hear clearly right away. I will patiently teach you. I will lead you from small recognition to deep sensitivity. And one day, you will walk not in guesswork, but in the quiet certainty of one who knows they are hearing the true voice of the Good Shepherd. My beloved child, I desire to give you not only the ability to discern, but also spiritual freedom. For when you are no longer swayed by the countless invitations of this world, you step into a freedom that few ever taste, freedom from fear, from dependence on human approval, from the slavery of fluctuating emotions, from entanglement in people's judgments. Those who hear my voice do not merely walk in the right direction, they walk lightly and at ease, because they know their steps are in harmony with the word of the one who leads them. It is this very freedom that allows your soul to blossom in places others call barren. Discerning my voice is not only knowing which voice is mine, it is also knowing which voices have no authority over you. There are voices that once made you tremble, that bound your mind with dark predictions, that made you believe your future rests in the hands of other people. But when you learn to hear my voice as sheep hear the shepherd, those voices grow distant. You will look at unseen threats and know they have no root in truth. You will hear harsh words or unfair judgments from people and yet remain at peace, because you know my word weighs more than any sentence the world could speak over you. My child, not those who shout the loudest have authority, only my decree holds power over your destiny. One of the deepest things you will learn as you discern my voice is the ability to recognize the movement that comes with it. My voice is not merely sound, it carries the motion of the Spirit. When I speak, not only does a word come, life comes. Not only does understanding come, breakthrough comes. Not only does insight come, transformation comes. That is why, when I speak, your soul will feel itself being drawn out of confinement, brought into realms of light you did not know before. My voice never causes your soul to shrink, my voice enlarges it. You will feel as if the old nets of thinking are being untangled, and new pathways begin to form in your inner world. This is the unmistakable mark of my voice. It creates new space within you. You must also understand, this discerning my voice is not a technique detached from a relationship. It becomes sharp only within communion with me. just as a close friend recognizes another's voice after many years together. You too will recognize my voice through time spent with me. If you seek my voice only when you need direction, it will feel unfamiliar. But if you seek my voice even when you have no pressing need, it will become so familiar that nothing can counterfeit it. Intimacy with me is the key to discernment. Those who seek me merely as a counselor hear me with their intellect. Those who seek me as their very life hear me with their spirit. That is why I call you into stillness, not to isolate you from the world, but to bring you into harmony with heaven. When you spend time in silence before me, your heart is gradually realigned. All confusion begins to dissolve. The fog in your mind lifts, and the echoes of fear are exposed. Stillness is where I teach you to distinguish between the voice of darkness and the voice of light, between your own voice and the voice of my spirit. No one can hear me clearly while their soul is crowded with unresolved noise. Stillness to the soul is what air is to the lungs, indispensable. My voice is continuous, but that does not mean I speak without ceasing. My voice is like the footsteps of a shepherd, leading his flock never so fast that the sheep grow weary, yet never so slow that the flock drifts away. In many seasons, I speak urgently to pull you out of danger. In other seasons, I speak less so that you may learn to trust my presence even when it is unseen. And there are seasons when I remain silent not because I have withdrawn from you, but because you must learn to recognize my guidance even without clear words. That silence is not abandonment, it is trust. I am silent when you have matured more than you think. A higher level of discernment is when you begin to understand that my voice always redirects your steps without damaging your essence. When my voice comes, it does not erode your worth, dim your identity, or make you smaller. On the contrary, my voice affirms who you are, restores your dignity, and lifts you upright. I never speak in a way that makes you feel useless. I speak in a way that reminds you that you were created in my image. Whenever you hear a voice that causes you to despise yourself, know that it is not mine. For I correct with mercy, lead with kindness, and shape you with hands that know your value far more intimately than you do. Another important part of the art of discernment is learning to remain silent before the world's demands for reaction. When people misunderstand you, they want you to defend yourself. When they offend you, they expect retaliation. When they wound you, they want you to fall into the trap of revenge. But my voice comes from a place of peace, and it tells you that not every battle requires your sword. I do not teach you to protect yourself with words. I teach you to protect yourself through trust. When you keep silent for my sake, my voice will speak on your behalf. When you restrain yourself because of me, I will be the one who vindicates you. Silence becomes the sharpest weapon when it is born from absolute trust. And when you have matured in discernment, you will discover this wonder. My voice will no longer feel like a sound descending from heaven, but like a voice rising from within you, not because you replace me, but because I am so near, so real, so alive within your soul that the boundary between my voice and the deepest desires of your renewed heart becomes one. This is not an illusion. This is the union the Spirit forms in those who remain close to me. When what you desire and what I desire move in the same direction, you will know that you have entered a depth of communion that many seek all their lives but never touch. All these things, awareness, discernment, sensitivity, stillness, freedom, are not knowledge for you to keep to yourself. They are tools I place in your hands to equip you, to guide those I will entrust to you. For their souls too wander among countless voices, torn between fear and hope. Searching for a familiar tone they no longer remember. When you learn to hear my voice, you become one who can show them that the one they are longing for is not as far as they imagine. You become a bridge between the voice of heaven and the hearts that thirst. This is the highest purpose of discernment, not that you become a skilled listener, but that you become a faithful guide, my beloved child. When I lead you into the stage of healing the deepest places of your soul, the first thing I do is not soothe the pain, but bring light into the places you once kept hidden in darkness, not to shame you, but to free you. No healing happens in secrecy. Light does not harm. Light merely reveals what darkness has clung to for too long. You have learned to discern my voice among 1,000 others, and now I want to teach you to discern between what only appears fine and what has silently decayed within. For many years, you have carried these invisible burdens until they felt like a part of you. But my child, I never created you to live under such heaviness. Some wounds do not begin with heartbreak, but with prolonged silence. Silence when you were not heard. Silence when your deepest parts were dismissed. Silence when the things that deserved healing were pushed aside because you had no space to face them. The world teaches you to endure, but I teach you to be restored. The world teaches you to suppress, but I teach you to open so you may be healed. You cannot step into a new season with a heart wrapped in ice. Healing is not merely patching over cracks, it is restoring your heart to beat in rhythm with heaven again. I see clearly the burdens even you cannot name. Some weights come from what others have done to you, but others come from what you have done to yourself. Expectations too heavy, standards too harsh, accusations you place on yourself for things beyond your control. You blame yourself for trusting the wrong person, for loving too much, for believing too quickly, for not being strong enough to avoid a wound, for not being wise enough to recognize an unhealthy bond. But my child, healing does not come through self-condemnation. Healing comes when you remember that I have seen the entirety of that journey, every stumble, every fall, every moment of weakness, and I still call you the one I love. Healing is not only for the deep wounds, it is also for the instinctive reactions shaped by old pain. The moments you over-defend yourself, the times you withdraw when someone comes close, the whispers telling you that you are undeserving of love, these are remnants of past seasons. I want to heal not only the wound but also the way you have learned to live with it. I want to restore you to the version of yourself that existed before the hurt, not so you may forget, but so you may no longer be defined by it. There are burdens you carry not because you choose to, but because you do not realize they are there. Like one who has worn a heavy backpack for so long they no longer feel its weight. You have grown accustomed to the quiet fears that cling to you over the years. The fear of being abandoned, the fear of not being enough, the fear of being forgotten, the fear of having no place in anyone's heart. These fears do not shout, they whisper. They shape your choices, distort your view of yourself, and keep you from receiving what you were meant to receive. I do not come to rebuke you for these things. I come to lift them off your shoulders like a father gently removing a burden from his child. The healing I bring is not always gentle. Sometimes it is like the first rain of a new season, refreshing yet stirring the soil. I must disturb the old ground so new seeds can grow. You will see memories you thought were gone reappear. Old pains stir again. Places you believed were healed begin to ache. You think this is a sign of failure, but it is a sign of restoration. A wound is healed not when it is hidden, but when it is open so that I may touch it. One of the deepest burdens I long to remove from you is the burden of self-blame. Self-blame makes you feel you are never enough, never right, never worthy. It convinces you that every loss is your fault. Every brokenness is something you must carry. But my child, you were not created to bear the weight of the world. I am the one who carries it. As you step into a new season, the belief that you must rescue yourself cannot go with you. You can only step into healing when you admit that you need me to lift you. I do not require you to be strong in order to be healed. I ask you to allow me to heal you so that you may become strong. The healing I give you also includes healing the way you see yourself. Pain has caused you to look at your own reflection through a distorted lens. You have believed yourself to be small, fragile, invisible, easily replaced. But I see you through the truth I placed within you, the truth that you were created with intention, that your name is written upon my heart, that you were designed for a path no one else can walk in your place. Healing is not merely the easing of pain. Healing is restoring your eyes to the reality of heaven, that you have worth even when others do not perceive it, that you are loved even when someone walks away, that you are kept even when you feel alone. Healing also requires courage. Courage to look into the places you once hid. Courage to admit that you were wounded. Courage to say, I need you. Courage to allow me to remove the old ropes you once thought were protecting you. But my child, this courage is not something you must manufacture. It comes from me. I do not stand at a distance waiting for you to overcome on your own. I step into the wound with you. I illuminate the places you fear to look at. I place my hand upon the pain you have avoided. I do not leave you for a single moment in the process of healing. You will come to realize this old pain is no longer the enemy. It becomes a teacher. It teaches you compassion. It teaches you to see others more deeply. It teaches you gratitude for small things. It teaches you to rely on me instead of relying on your own strength. The place where you were wounded will become the place where I pour my power. The place where you once broke will become the place where you are strongest, because that strength will not come from you but from me. When I heal, I do not return you to who you were. I lead you into a version of yourself you never knew you could become. My healing does not rewind time, it creates a new future. I do not merely bandage the wound, I recreate the heart. I do not simply end the pain, I open the door to joy. I do not only lift away the burdens, I place upon you the lightness of a peace that only heaven can give. And when you look back, you will understand that my removing old burdens was not loss, but liberation. You will breathe deeper, stand taller, walk lighter. You will see yourself return, yet better, more whole, more steadfast, and ready to love without fear. That is the work of my healing, my beloved child. Healing is not only the removal of old burdens, it is also the opening of doors within you that you locked long ago. There are places in your soul you vowed never to touch again, places tied to painful memories, unfinished stories, broken promises, wounds so deep that you built invisible walls to keep yourself safe. You believed that silence and avoidance were your best protection. But truly, those locked doors have kept you living in half-light, always guarded, always afraid that one day the past would return to suffocate you. But my child, I do not come to force you to relive the pain. I come to free those dark corners from its authority. I come to open the door you thought could only remain shut. A door you never imagined could be opened again, with peace. You have grown accustomed to telling yourself, it's over, when in truth, it was only tucked away into a closet. Healing does not come by pushing memories deeper, but by allowing me to enter them with you, like a skilled craftsman restoring a precious artifact weathered by time. I do not rush, nor do I work carelessly. I take each step slowly, gently, never overwhelming you, yet never allowing you to hide anymore. You will feel as if something is stirring old waves of emotion you thought had died, but instead of drowning you, those waves will carry you to a new shore, a shore where you finally understand that facing the past does not mean being wounded again. There are memories you avoid because you think you are not strong enough to face them once more. But the strength you fear you lack does not come from you, it comes from me. You do not face the past alone. You face it with the one who washed the feet of those who would betray him, with the one who embraced the cross with a mysterious peace, with the one who turned the dark tomb into the birthplace of new creation. When I step into those memories with you, they lose their power to make you tremble. Instead of becoming sharp knives, they become chapters that have been read full of meaning, full of lessons, but no longer able to make you bleed. I know you have learned to be strong in order to survive, but I want to teach you to be strong in order to flourish. There is a great difference between bracing yourself and being healed. Bracing yourself is pushing every emotion to the bottom so you can keep moving. But healing is when I lift you out of that pit, wipe the tears you never dared to let anyone see, and soften your heart again. A heart that only survives by bracing will harden, but the heart I build in you must remain soft enough to love, alive enough to feel, and bright enough to receive what I have prepared. My child, there will be moments when I allow circumstances to touch the places where old wounds once lay, not because I want you to hurt again, but because I want you to see that you have grown beyond the power they once had over you. I do not expose the past to diminish you. I reveal it so you can see what I have already freed. I do not permit memories to resurface so they can weaken you. I permit them so you may see that you are no longer the trembling soul you once were. Remember this, I am not taking you back to what was. I am simply bringing old feelings into the light so you may see they no longer rule you. A memory that has been healed loses its power to harm. It still exists, but it has no claws. It becomes a testimony of the work I have finished with you. Old pain has caused you to build walls that not only keep out what is harmful, but also what is good. In trying to protect yourself, you have unintentionally pushed away the very hands that were sent to lift you up. When I heal you, I reshape your ability to trust, teaching you to discern who has been sent by me and who is merely passing through. You will no longer have to live under the weight of constant suspicion. I will teach you how to open your heart in the right places, close it at the right moment, and stand firm, not because you are afraid, but because you know I am the one who keeps you. There are seasons when you fear drawing near to me because you think I will remind you of your old mistakes, or because you believe you are not holy enough to stand in my presence. But my child, I do not come to condemn, I come to restore. Like the father who ran to the prodigal from afar, I come toward you before you can utter a single excuse. I do not ask why you wandered. I only ask, will you let me hold you? For healing begins in that embrace, not in punishment, not in pressure to change immediately, but in your acceptance that I love you more than your fears do. When I heal, I will also touch the words that once carved themselves into your soul. The phrases someone spoke over you might have lingered like shadows across your thoughts. You are not good enough. You are easily replaced. You are nothing special. You are a burden. These were not truths. They were nothing more than distorted mirrors someone placed before you. I come to replace that mirror with the truth of heaven. And the truth says you were wonderfully made, marked with my image, and endowed with a worth that cannot be diminished by words spoken in anger, ignorance, or woundedness. In time, You will see that many things which once hurt you were never true. They merely revealed the limitations of those who spoke them. Healing is reclaiming my voice within you, the voice that says you are loved, chosen, called, and that no one can remove what I have placed inside you. In the process of healing, there will be moments when you feel empty, as though I have taken something away without giving anything back yet. That moment is not absence, it is preparation. I cannot pour new wine into old wineskins. I cannot place new joy into a heart still cluttered with remnants of former seasons. The emptiness you feel is not loss, it is invitation. An invitation to expand your capacity. An invitation to release what is old. An invitation to become ready for the abundance I am preparing. And when I fill you, I do not pour drop by drop. I pour until it overflows. I pour until peace is no longer a fleeting feeling but a river running through you. I pour until your smile returns as naturally as breath. I pour until you can look at what once wounded you and feel no sting. I pour until you are not merely living, but living boldly, deeply, and in alignment with what I have destined you to be. My healing is not a short process, but it is a certain one. Layer by layer, I remove. Step by step, I lead. Day by day, I renew. And heartbeat by heartbeat, I prove that I am with you, not as an abstract idea, but as a presence that truly touches, restores, and transforms. My child, I do not merely restore you from past wounds. I am unveiling a completely new being within you, a person you have never seen in the mirror before. I do not make you into who you used to be. I am shaping you into someone entirely different, deeper, brighter, stronger, softer, and more alive. My healing never ends at repair. It always leads to transformation. For what I touch is not only the wound, but the very source of life within you. There will be days when you feel unfamiliar to yourself, as though you are stepping out of an old garment you wore for years. You will notice familiar reactions no longer rising. The fears that once made you tremble will sound like faint echoes. The memories that once made you cry will stand before you but no longer bind your soul in darkness. You may think you are losing something, but truly, you are shedding old skin to enter spiritual maturity. Like a potter at the wheel, I am not merely restoring your former shape. I am forming you into the design I intended from the beginning of creation. Some mornings you will wake and realize you are no longer haunted by the question, "What is wrong with me?" Instead, you will begin to ask, "What is God making right within me?" That is the sign of true healing. Not when you forget the pain, but when the pain no longer defines you. Not when you erase the memory of the one who hurt you, but when you can see them without your heart bleeding. Not when you become numb, but when you become free enough to love without fear of loss. My healing always comes with rebirth. You will not only regain what was taken, you will receive what you never had. A heart that listens more closely to me. A spirit that stands more firmly. A soul that discerns more clearly. A faith that breathes peacefully even when the path ahead remains unclear. This is what I have awakened in you during the days when you believed you were being broken. You once thought healing meant no longer feeling pain. But my child, true healing means you can walk even where an old wound once made you fall. It means you can offer love without demanding reciprocity to fill a void. It means you can look into someone's eyes without searching for validation to prove your worth. You no longer need to chase approval to feel seen, for I am the one who saw you long before you learned to see yourself. In the days when I heal you most deeply, there will be moments when you feel as though I am pulling you away from every familiar place of support, but in truth, I am not drawing you into emptiness, I am drawing you into maturity. Just as the vine must be pruned to bear more fruit, I also prune away what no longer belongs to you. Sometimes what I remove is not another person, but an old version of yourself, a version that learned to survive through pain, that lived by defense, that used a smile to hide what no one ever saw. When I heal you, I also bring you into the truth of your worth. You will no longer define yourself by the eyes of others, by fleeting success, by the temporary closeness of unhealthy connections. You will no longer sacrifice your peace to keep someone near. You will no longer need to prove you are worthy of love. The love I placed in you is foundation enough to make you stand without trembling. What I am doing within you is not for you alone. It will touch the lives of those I will bring near you in the future. Your healing will become an overflowing cup from which you pour into others without running dry. You once loved with a wounded heart, now you will love with a healed one. You once helped others from fear, now you will lift them in freedom. You once built relationships out of lack, now you will build from the abundance I have placed upon you. There are things I will speak to you in silence, things only your ears can hear and only your heart can understand. In that stillness, you will see that healing is not a one-time act, but the breath of life with me. I am not only healing your past, I am healing you in every step you take, every choice you make, every glance you give, every word you speak, every dream you hold to your chest. When I complete the work of healing, you will find yourself standing taller, not out of pride, but out of knowing you are upheld by my hand. You will find yourself smiling more easily, not because you are naive, but because you know who carries your life. You will walk with greater confidence, not because everything is clear, but because you know I am there in every step, every moment, every breeze that moves across your path. The most beautiful part of healing is when you begin to see me in places where you once thought I could never be found. You will see me in the empty space where someone once stood. You will see me in the places you used to hide. You will see me in the tear that falls but shine with hope. You will see me in your own reflection, the new creation I have shaped with love, patience, and restoring power. And when you stand at the end of this healing journey, you will not say, I did it. You will say, God did. For it was not your strength that carried you out of the darkness, but the light I called you into each day. It was not your willpower that rebuilt your heart, but my love touching it piece by piece. It was not your endurance that held your hope together, but the hope I planted day after day until it became rooted deep within your soul. I have never allowed pain to be the final word. I always write the chapter of restoration, and in that chapter, you will learn that no wound is too deep for my touch, no loss too great for my restoration, no night too thick for my light to tear through. Your healing is not merely a journey, it is the witness that I am with you, real, near, alive, and full of power. My beloved child, when a healing journey has gone deep enough, long enough, wide enough to reach every corner of your soul, that is when I begin to open a new horizon for your life. Not an old horizon, repaired, but an entirely different field, a land your feet have never touched, a path you never imagined you could walk, an invitation into the maturity I prepared for you since before you were formed in your mother's womb. For healing is not the end, healing is the gate. I heal you so you can stand. I heal you so you can hear. I heal you so you can walk. I heal you so you can live fully in the purpose I breathed into you. It is time to step into a new season. You may not yet realize it, but everything I did in the previous seasons was intentional. Every time I separated you from something, I was bringing you closer to what your eyes could not yet see. Every time I removed a relationship, a dependency, a misplaced expectation, I was clearing the path for something more fitting. Every time you endured a long night filled with unanswered questions, I was stretching your inner capacity to hold something greater. Every time you trembled when I asked you to let go, I was preparing your hands to receive what I would give. You thought that only when you became strong enough would I lead you into a new season. But no, my child, I lead you into the new season the moment you learn to lean on me. For real strength does not come from what you build on your own, but from clinging to me without letting go. When you are empty, I am full. When you are weary, I lift you. When you lose direction, I illuminate the way. When you fear, I whisper, do not tremble, for I go before you. The new season I am calling you into does not resemble any you have known before. It is not measured by what human eyes can see, but by how you respond to my voice. This season is not opened by your effort, but by your surrender, not by striving, but by yielding, not by proving your worth, but by believing that I am enough for you. I am calling you out of familiar circles not because they are wrong, but because they are too small for what I am about to do. I want to bring you to places where dependence on me is not an option, but a breath. I want to place you in environments where your faith will grow, where you will witness me move in ways you have never seen. I want you to learn how to walk on water instead of merely standing on the shore watching me perform miracles for others. A new season does not begin with pleasant promises. It begins with steps that require resolve. You must dare to leave the shore. Dare to leave the old banks where you knew every rhythm of the waves. Dare to leave the lands where you had mastered every path. Dare to leave the patterns that once helped you survive but cannot help you flourish. Just as Abraham was called to leave his homeland without knowing where he was going, you too must learn to walk with only one certainty: I go before you. Stepping into a new season does not mean every question will be answered immediately. There are times when I remain silent to see whether you will trust me, even when the sky has no pillar of cloud, the ground bears no footprints, and the wind carries no direction. But my child, my silence is not my absence. That silence is merely the backdrop for the voice that is coming, the voice that will guide you, the voice that will confirm your path, the voice that will steady your heart in transitions not yet clear. You have never entered a season for which I did not prepare you beforehand. Do not think that what I have done in you in recent days was only to heal what was old. No, my child, I heal to lay foundation. I prune to open the way. I restore so you can carry what I place upon your shoulders in this season. You will no longer walk as one burdened, but as one entrusted. No longer walk in fear of losing, but in confidence that what I give cannot be taken. No longer walk in aimless shadow, but in the illumination of the lamp I set before your feet. I am calling you into a season where my voice, will be clearer than ever before, no longer overshadowed by voices of those who do not walk with you, no longer clouded by expectations not born of heaven, no longer suffocated by old fears. I will make you recognize my voice among 1,000 others, as Samuel heard my call in the night, even before he learned how to discern it. In this new season, you will no longer value yourself by what has passed, but by what I speak over you. And I declare that you are appointed to carry light into dim places, appointed to enter new territories, appointed to influence lives you never imagined you could touch. I declare that you are appointed as a sign of my faithfulness to the world. You often think that those who are called must be fearless, but I tell you this: the ones who are called are those who still tremble. yet choose to listen to me instead of their fear. The new season does not require you to be perfect. It only requires you to step. When you step, I will do the rest. When you stand, I will send the wind. When you tremble, I will hold your hand. When you are weak, I will be your strength. My child, I am opening before you doors no one can shut. But to walk through them, you must believe that I never lead you where I am not. Remember this: if I open the waters, you will not be swallowed by the waves. If I command you to go, you will not lose your way. If I call your name, you will not be abandoned in the desert. You have walked through the season of night. Now I lead you into dawn. You have walked through silence. Now you will hear me more clearly. You have walked through separation. Now I bring you into a healthy connection. You have walked through pain. Now I lead you into a new creation. My beloved child, I do not merely send you forward, I walk with you. I do not only show the path, I accompany you on it. And in that companionship, you will learn that a new season is not measured by outward ease, but by how clearly you see me in each moment. There will be times when I open your eyes to things you could never perceive while standing in old ground. Your spiritual vision will shift. You will see clearly what once was only faint impression. You will discern my movements not by intellect, but by a sensitivity refined in my presence. What you once needed to hear through others, you will hear directly from my heart. What once required searching and guessing will be illuminated in a moment, not because you have become wiser, but because your eyes have been opened to the deeper layers of my work in the universe and within your own soul. A new season does not arrive to take you out of the world, but to place you where you can influence the world with the light I have placed in you. Yet for that light to shine rightly, I will continue adjusting the internal alignments of your mind so you do not drift from my will. I will place within you delicate impressions so that when I whisper even the smallest directive, you will recognize it. I will make my peace the measure by which you discern the right path. If a road is wide but lacks my peace, you will know it is not mine. If a door is small yet covered by my peace, you will know it is the one I have opened. Many imagine that my new season brings only visible goodness, but the true new season also brings sifting. I sift relationships, habits, motives, even dreams, so that only what comes from me remains. What is not from me cannot survive in the environment I am bringing you into. This is not severity, it is mercy. For if you carry what does not belong, it will become a weight that keeps you from rising into where I call you. I will also adjust your pace. There will be times I tell you to wait. Times I urge you to move quickly because the season is urgent. Times I draw you into extended silence so you can hear the meaning beneath the words. The breath of my spirit in the gentle wind. Times I press you to run through doors that, if delayed, you would miss entirely. You do not need to know the full plan. You only need sensitivity to the rhythm of my heart. I know there will be moments when standing in new territory makes you uneasy, not because the place is dangerous, but because it is so unlike anything you have known. At times you will look back, longing for the safety of old seasons. But I speak to you, do not turn back. No one who puts their hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the work of the kingdom. I did not bring you here to abandon you. I brought you here because you are ready to live as one who carries divine purpose. No longer dragged backward by old restraints. In this new season, I will teach you to walk with authority, not human authority, but authority from heaven, not stumbling in hesitation, but standing firm in the knowledge that my seal is upon your life. You will speak with a confidence you once believed impossible. You will pray with a strength you once thought beyond your reach. You will know that your words do not fade into the air but touch what I intend to bring forth. I do not lead you into a new season so you will merely survive, but so you will participate in the work of heaven. You are no longer merely rescued, you are sent. No longer merely a survivor, you are a victor. No longer one who endures the darkness, you are one who carries light into it. The experiences you have lived, separation, waiting, breaking, restoration become the wisdom you will carry into your new role. I will surround you with new people, those whose spirits align with the direction I am leading you. They will not shrink you, they will expand you. They will not quench your fire, they will fan it. They will not minimize what I have placed in you, they will affirm it. I will bring those whose words do not make you question yourself, but remind you of the truth I have spoken over you. This is my gift for this season, the right companions at the right time. There are stretches of the journey where you must walk alone, not because you are abandoned, but because you need space to hear me more clearly. The solitude of this season is not like the loneliness of the old one. Heaven's solitude does not wither the soul, it deepens its roots. In that sacred quiet, you will hear my voice as Elijah heard it, in the gentle whisper, not in the raging storm, not in the earthquake, but in the silence no other presence can intrude upon. I also want to teach you how to walk with steadfast faith even when you cannot see the full landscape. You will have to surrender to me dreams you do not yet understand, plans you cannot yet envision, and steps that still feel vague, but I will reveal them to you gradually. Just as dawn does not blaze forth all at once, but expands gently with each wave of light, as you persevere under my guidance, you will find yourself transformed. The things that once confused you will lose their power. The voices that once caused you to doubt will lose their echo. The fears that once held your feet in place will shrink into mere shadows. You will live not only under my protection, but in partnership with me. And in this season, I will make you know that my presence is not merely around you to lead, it is within you to sustain. I do not only show you where to go, I make you into the one who can go there. I do not only commission, I equip. I do not only call, I prepare. I do not only open the way, I strengthen your feet to walk it. Remember this, the new season is not just the place you are entering, it is the person you are becoming. And I am still at work within you moment by moment, breath by breath, step by step. My beloved child, this is not a period. This is a sacred comma in the story I am writing with my very breath. Your story is not sealed in the season of sorrow, nor does it end at the point where you finally stood upright. Your story continues into the glorious commission I ordained long before the foundations of the heavens were laid. What has unfolded in your soul all this time was not merely to make you better, it was to make you into someone to whom I can entrust what I have reserved for this appointed hour. You have walked through seasons no one witnessed. You have cried in rooms no one entered. You have fought battles in nights where only silence kept you company. You held on to the last ember of faith when you thought I had withdrawn. But not one of your tears was wasted. Not one sigh was ignored. Not one wound was left without purpose. I saw it all, and now I want you to see what I have prepared. The season you are stepping into is not a simple continuation. It is a breakthrough. A chapter unlike any before it. A path upon which you will realize that the bends of destiny, the detours that broke your heart, the turns that felt accidental, all contributed to the roadmap I authored for you. Just as Joseph stood before his brothers and declared that what had happened was not for destruction but for the saving of many lives, you too will see that your darkest seasons were the places where I opened the brightest doors. I am not merely leading you into a new season, I am placing my seal upon you. This seal is not the mark of fear, shame, or doubt. It is the mark of heaven, the mark of one chosen, the mark of one set apart, the mark of one sent forth with a divine purpose. No power can erase it. No accusation can cancel it. No circumstance can destroy it. This seal is the testimony that you not only walk with me, you walk in me. And when you walk in me, you walk with a strength you could never produce on your own. You walk with a peace the world cannot give. You walk with a wisdom far beyond anything this life could teach. You walk with a heart softened, renewed, and filled. You walk with eyes cleansed from the dust of pain. You walk as one who knows they belong to the power of the one who made heaven and earth. From this moment on, you will no longer walk as one seeking validation. You will walk as one who is sent. You will no longer bow your head waiting for someone else to name your worth, for I named it in creation. You will no longer fear losing human approval, for you have been accepted by the highest. You will no longer cling to what I have removed for you. No, you can only receive fully with open hands. I set before you 3 foundations for this new season. First, I give you ears that recognize my voice in every circumstance. Not through the filter of fear, not through the filter of old wounds, but directly from the heart of heaven. You will know when I say go, when I say wait, when I say stop, and when I say turn another way. You will no longer live in ambiguity. You will live in discernment. Second, I give you eyes that perceive spiritual opportunities others overlook. You will see the open door even when it is only a thin sliver of light. You will see my hand in what seems random. You will see my work in ordinary moments. You will know where I place your feet, where I call you out, and where I ask you to remain for a time until the assignment only you can fulfill is complete. Third, I give you a courageous heart, courage to love, courage to release, courage to stand alone when needed, and courage to stand with those I bring beside you at the right moment. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision that my voice will be louder than fear's whisper. You do not enter this new season empty-handed. You carry the experience, maturity, discernment, sensitivity, and endurance I have forged through every previous season. These are weapons. These are provisions. These are testimonies of my work for you. And now, they become the foundation upon which you build the future I have prepared. You will encounter doors that open only when you have become the person fit for this time, not the person you were in the old seasons. There were things I could not give you before because they would have crushed shoulders not yet strengthened. But now you have been made firm. You have been refined. You have grown beyond who you once were. And I will no longer delay what has already been appointed. In this season, I go before you to lead, behind you to guard, beside you to steady, and within you to shape you into my image among the nations. I am the breath in your lungs, the light in your eyes, the beat in your chest, the strength in every decision you make. There is no moment in which you walk by your own might, no hour in which you are abandoned, no day in which you face the future with empty hands. Walk forward. Walk as one who is loved. Walk as one who is called. Walk as one who is commissioned. Walk as one who knows that all of heaven stands behind them. And as you step into this new season, remember the words I speak to you today. You do not walk alone. You walk in me, and I will complete the work I have begun in you. Thank you for listening to today's message. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so we may continue receiving the living word together, strengthening our faith, and walking in the boundless love of the Lord. Amen.